I'm Bob Moul. I am the CEO of Artisan Mobile and also the current president of Philly Startup Leaders. EDS recruiter who was kind enough to take a meeting with me. I'm 17 years old at the time. I go into this meeting, wearing my best polyester suit, and we had a great session. Actually, I think we ended up having 2 or 3 interviews. Ultimately, turned me down because they didn't think I was ready to make the commitment to EDS. And I just remember saying, his name was Jim Lewis. God love you, Jim, if you're watching this, but. I remember saying on the way out the door, do you mind, Jim, if I just check in every once in a while, to see what's going on? He's like, Bob, you call me anytime you want to. And so I called him every Friday for the next 3 months. My number one advantage was people were always like patting me on the head, like, knock yourself out, right? So I did, and I ended up taking the entire operations development program while I was still like running the printers. And so that was always my mode at EDS. I always took the jobs that nobody else wanted. I was asked to move to Asia. We needed basically chief operating officers in every country over there. And I remember asking my manager at the time, which country is in the worst shape? Where do you need the most help? And it was Hong Kong. And I said, well, then I want to go to Hong Kong. So I just found that, the secret is that in those kind of roles, like nobody expects you to succeed because they're bad roles to start with. And if you do, they're like, wow, look at that. So the pressure's kind of off, So I've always enjoyed like taking on incredibly like low odds, high tension, high challenge kind of things. And I think that's why entrepreneurism works so well for me. The stakes are incredibly high, and the chance of failure is incredibly high, and I thrive in that environment. And we put 10 record quarters together, back to back, a publicly traded company on NASDAQ. And I ended up leaving shortly before it was sold to SunGard for like $650 million. And that was the moment in time when I kind of said to myself, I love doing that. I love the challenge of that sort of thing at that high stakes, high magnitude. But if I do that again, I think I'd like it to be like for me. I started what was a very awkward transition from corporate guy to entrepreneur. And a lot of people really not believing that I could do it. And when I was going around asking for advice and counsel, and it was pretty lonely time because a lot of people really were just like, forget it. This is what you're trying to do is not going to work. But I did, and I don't know that everybody at Boomi even to this day knows just how close we were to being out of business. And I took a second mortgage on my house and started writing checks to cover payroll so that we could keep going. And then we got it built and we got it to market, and we immediately started having traction, and we were able to go back out and start the fundraising again, and literally got the round closed with the guys at First Mark in July of 2008, which, if you remember the history, was just before the world completely collapsed. I certainly remember lying in bed one night with my wife. I'm like staring at the ceiling, and she's like, "Do you know what you're doing?" I said, "Not really, but we're going to figure it out." The things I look for in opportunities are, massive market with a big pain point that I can solve with a highly innovative and defensible solution, and field it with a very seasoned team. I pitched Boomi probably 100 times before somebody finally said yes. Well, the vision for Artisan is to rid the world of ugly mobile apps. We feel like mobile, more than any other technology, is at the cross section of art and technology. I think it's one of the reasons we're down here in Old City and more of an artsy kind of part of town, is that designing mobile apps is hard because the real estate is limited. Web apps, you can have tabs that go on forever. You can scroll down forever. I call them bloated. They're ugly. But when you're designing for smaller form factor, whether it's a a phone or even a tablet, you have to be very, very thoughtful about how you do that. There's a strong correlation with artists and entrepreneurs and creative types in general. I mean, whether you're working in tech or some other field, it's the first of all the freedom that comes with doing your thing and the joy of doing something that you immensely enjoy doing,